Last time we saw that Bhagwan enlightened Arjun with the Gyan of rebirth. Bhagwan told as to how he knows all births taken by all, including him, taken by everyone, including himself. He knows about all the births. We also learned the meaning of the word Atma. We also saw how the Atma, which is eternal, is born under bondage, our Atma. And Parameshwar, who is also eternal, manifests himself in this sansar by his own will, through his own powers. This is what is meant by divine birth. And I want to go into the word divine little bit more today. His actions are also divine, meaning that he manifests and rewards and reveals himself to the as a free Atma, under no bondage. He manifests and reveals himself to free those who are in bondage. And Parameshwar will never cause any bondage to anybody. He's always letting people free. Just like a professional cow herder will go and take the cows to the pasture, bring them back and tie them to their place so the other owner can milk them. But when you look toward from the viewpoint of Parameshwar, you don't tie them back. Once you release them from there, you just let them be. So that's what Paramatma does. He never wants to tie anybody. He comes in this sansar for the purpose of releasing us all from our bondage. And we saw what our bondages are last time. So next Bhagavan told as to when he manifests himself and why does he do so. So today we'll start from here.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam tadatmanam srajamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Parameshwar manifests for the sake of dharma. He manifests with all his gunas on the basis of his own dharma. That is how we call Sagun Paramatma. He comes in sansar with all his gunas. Parameshwar has no faults. All he has is gunas. And he comes based on his dharma. And what is his dharma? His dharma is nityatva, vyapakatva, all these dharma. And his gun is kripa, karuna. So he comes with all those gunas based on his dharma. So both the gunas and dharma here are those of his own swarup. They are not anybody else's, any other entity's guna and dharma. That those guna and dharma are his own guna and dharma. He is beyond everything else. So he doesn't need to use any other entity's guna or dharma. Bhagavan says, whenever surely there is a decline or depression of dharma, so the question arises why there is a decline of dharma. you see, it is very difficult to follow dharma. It's not easy to follow dharma. To follow the dharma means to rise above the sansar. But we don't know how to rise above sansar. And a lot of, quite frankly, don't want to rise above the sansar. They like sansar as it is for them. So it is very difficult to follow dharma. To follow dharma means to rise above sansar, but it is difficult to rise above sansar since the natural tendencies of jiva is to go lower and lower and lower. So jiva has three faults. These are thinking lower, the thinking process is not very high, going lower based on their thought process, and then liking that lower state. Now how, you say, how is it? Well, no parents teach their children to use foul language, do they? They don't. But children learn it on their own, from their friends and the environment. And they do it as fun, see? And they like to call other people with those names because it is innate tendency of every jiva, not be a high thinker but a low thinker, and then go down. And that's how the sansar is. That's why when the sansar is created, slowly it goes down and down and down to the extinction, right? Which we call pralaya. If it was not the case, then it would not go down, it would not deteriorate. So, children learn stealing, drinking. These days, they learn how to take drugs and stuff like that. Nobody teaches them how to do that. For this, they have to set example. Now, if you want to keep the children out of all these, then parents have got to set an example. This means that parents have to live their lives following a strict rule and of dharma. You see, if you don't use, if the parent themselves lie, can't expect children not to lie, to be honest. So similarly, the parents have got to do this. Now here what you can look at one other way. Parameshwar, when he comes in sansar, he has no fault in him. It's all positive there. There is no lying, no cheating. He's always helping others, right? So when Parameshwar comes in sansar to establish the dharma, he sets an example by his own actions. And those actions of his are what is called leela. Okay? Nobody tells him to do what he's doing. He's doing it because that's what Parameshwar is. Right? We have to learn all these things, but he is that. So when he comes in, that's how somebody come in contact with Parameshwar avatar, immediately changes. Because the environment is such. There's nothing bad thing around there. See? So, the thing is, example of this, another example is the water flow. Water always flows downwards. Right? Natural tendency of water is to flow downwards. Now, if you want to take that water and move it upwards, we have to channelize upwards, then we have to use energy using a pump, a device to pump that water up. That is an effort. Similarly, our natural tendency is to go down, 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 down. If we want to rise above sansar, then we have to make effort. Correct? And that effort takes a lot of work. It's not that simple. And that is the reason why dharma over time deteriorates. People leave it because they just don't find it interesting enough to follow it. So Bhagavan says that when there is a decline in dharma, and what is meant by dharma here, it is this specifically the following of the rule which is set up to uplift the humanity. That is the dharma. Ishwar dharma is dharma, the rule, set of rules which is set up there to uplift the whole humanity. Not just one or two, all jeev, all atmas. And when there is a rise in adharma, then I bring forth myself in the sansar. That's what Bhagavan says. So what is the rise in adharma? It's a numbers game. There are so many people or atma. If majority of them become adharma, follow adharma, don't follow dharma, then there is a lot more adharma now. Very little dharma. So dharma, glani, then dharma is receding, and adharma is on the rise. That's when Bhagavan says, I come in this sansar to set the record straight. And over time it will happen the same thing. That's why he says, I come birth after, I take many births, one after the other, whenever it's needed. That is what he's saying. Atmanam srajamyaham. My own atma, I take that atma and bring it out to help the humanity, to put the dharma on the right track. Srajan means to create, to make. So atma, this doesn't mean he makes his atma. His atma, he brings it out in a form where it can be active in setting up the dharma. Now, we need to understand that it is not necessary for Ishwar to come in this sansar, in this world, just like Bhagavan Krishna did every time. That's not necessary. So Ishwar can manifest many ways. We saw the Atma, we call Chit as Atma too, right? So Ishwar can manifest in any human also. For the time being, that human being becomes his agent. He puts his jnana into that human being, and that human being does the work what Ishwar wants to do. He doesn't have to come out like Bhagavan Krishna did. And that human being, so when he says, Atmanam srajamyaham, my atma in that person, that human being, does the work. He does this way. That person becomes an agent of Ishwar who spreads Ishwar Dhyan. When does this happen? There are two reasons for this. First, when there is decline of dharma, and when there is increase in adharma. There are two different things. Dharma may be declining, but adharma may not be rising. That too can happen. Paritranaya sadhunam. That's another reason when he comes in. What he does when he comes in, paritranaya sadhunam. When adharma is on the rise, it means that there are larger number of people who are not following the rule of law, rule of dharma. And those who are doing it, who are called sadhus, and they are following the dharma, they are being harassed by those who are in adharma. That happens. When that happens, Bhagavan says, I come in, I manifest myself. See, manifest doesn't mean he comes by himself. He manifests it. It's a manifestation of Paramatma, right? Just like he will say in Vibhuti Yoga, so and so is high because I am in him. Right? We'll come to that. So that's what Sajam Meham means here. Those who are sadhu, who are following dharma, this person comes to protect those sadhus. Because sadhus are doing dharma, they are not violent, they're not gonna try to defend themselves. They are always immersed in thinking about Bhagavan and doing the puja. That's what they do. And vinashayach dushkratam. Destroy those who are wicked. Dushkratam, wicked people. This needs some clarification here. Anyone killed by Bhagavan, avatar, Ishwar avatar, will always get higher pulse, go to higher devta pulse. So if Bhagavan says, if he kills somebody who is wicked, it won't be fair, because that person, wicked person, get to go to the higher level, more sukh. So he does not involve himself into killing anybody. What he's saying here is, this could be injustice, because rewarding somebody who is wicked is not good. In this light, destruction of the wicked does not mean killing them. He destroys their wickedness. See? When their wickedness is destroyed, they are not a problem. And they can be moved towards going to dharma. That's what apiches duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sets in here. Then they become better within themselves and are no longer bad people. Many other dharma, in many other dharma, there is people try to change others by force, who do not follow their particular belief. Here Bhagavan is saying to remove the bad element from within them. And the third purpose is to re-establish the dharma in samsara. The dharma embodies those rules which are based on the truth, not man-made rule. The truth. And what is the truth? Truth is Parameshwar, is Gyan. That's the truth. It is immutable. It cannot be changed. It stays same all the time. So these are immutable rules. And to re-establish them, he appears in every yug. Now, the word yug, I have to explain a little bit here. Yug is not an astronomical word here. It has nothing to do with astronomy or the time counting and all this sort of stuff. Physical, what you call, all the stars and all the time things. Here, yug means the period of time certain set of devata have effect on that time. Like Kali Yuga, there are devatas who are active in this time period. And their time period has been established to be 400,000 years. All the Kali Yuga devata will be effective and do their work and give the phal. So who's going to be born in Kali Yuga? Only those people who are supposed to get the fruit of the action of these Kali Yuga devatas. In Kali Yuga, you cannot find devata of Swarg giving fruit of action, because there are no people who are supposed to get fruit of action of Swarg. Only people born in Kali Yuga are those who are supposed to get the fruit of action which is available only for Kali Yuga. And this is given by those Devatas. And they are there for up to 400,000 years. In Dwapar, the Devatas which were giving the fruit of action was those of Swarga. So that's why in that Yuga, human beings could go to Swarga. So somebody says we are going to go heaven here. No. Heaven means here higher than wherever it is the phal, fruit of the action for these Kali Yuga Devatas. And Kali Yuga Devata is not very great Devata either. So this is what I like you to understand. Like Treta Yuga has certain time period where all those Devata which are for that Yuga can give the fruit of the action that time period. The Sat Yuga has a bigger time period, larger time period. So I don't want to go too much into it, but this is what I like you to think about a little bit. So Bhagavan says every yuga, it does not mean that he appears himself in all the time. He can infuse his power in chosen Atma, and through that person gets his work done. This chosen Atma then becomes worthy of attaining moksha. Because why? Because that Atma has been chosen by Bhagavan to do his work. So he is rewarded. And while he is doing the work, which is work of Parameshwar, he cannot do anything wrong anyway. He will always do good stuff, right stuff, which will release him out of his bondage. So we need to remember two things. The meaning of Vinashaya Dushkritam, and the second one is much more important, which is that there are 5 uddesh, 5 intents in Bhagavan's manifestation in samsara, in his avatar, taking avatar. This is now a little bit deeper. Whenever Ishwar manifests or the avatar appears, he does not appear like ordinary human being. He may look like ordinary human being, but he is not ordinary human being. It depends what he wants to do. And his actions are none like any other person's actions. Both his manifestations as well as his actions are unique in nature. The 5 intents are decline of the dharma and increase in the adharma, and third one was protection of sadhus from those who are following adharma. The 4th ones destroy the evil out of those people who are wicked people. And the 5th one is establishment of the dharma. So these are 5 goals which Paramatma has. Having thus explained to Arjuna that I take many births and I have the knowledge of all of them, I manifest myself at will, whenever he wants to do. Nobody can tell me anything. Through my own powers. So he is totally independent. The situation under which I manifest and when I appear, what is that I do? Now Bhagavan is describing his birth and his actions in the next sloka.
Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna.
Bhagavan says, O Arjun, my births and my karma are divya. English translation is divine. Now, that these represent the truth. Divine means his birth and his actions represent the truth. The divine has the divine power. Person who is divine has divine power. Anyone who knows this truth, through the truth means the tattva, he upon leaving this body does not receive another body. So he's telling the person who learns these things about my divineness of my births and my actions, karma. Once a person knows with tattva, means with jnana, he does not come back in this sansara again. Now this is a very big thing. Here what he's telling us, in effect, what jnana is. So jnana entails knowing about the births or the coming or manifestation of Parmeshwar, and when he manifests, what are his actions and what is behind all those actions. That is what jnana is. So the jnani person knows, and once he knows about Paramatma, everything else falls in place because Paramatma is the big highest. So instead of he becomes divine and he comes to me. So that person who has attained the jnana of Ishwar's birth, means manifestation, and his actions in sansar, he becomes divine and he will go to Paramatma. He will not come back in this sansar. So this is the meaning of the shlok. Janma karma chame divyam. We will now take the closer look and go into details. First, we need to learn the meaning of the word divya or divine. Divya is translated in English as divine. The root of the word divya is div, D-I-V, div. Every word has a root from which it is derived. So divya is derived from div, which means to shine. Okay, div means to shine. Now what will shine? Only the entity which will shine is which has got its own shine. Right? Sun is shining. So sun has its own power. That is Devata shine. Surya Devata. Right? That is his power which is shining in the sun. One which emanates light is the one who shines. Okay? You take these LED light bulbs right now, right? They emanate light. They're not divya, but the power is given through the electricity, so it's not their own power. Correct? But that's how you can understand a little bit. The one which emanates light is the one who shines. Devatas have light of their own. So Devatas, they can shine. That's why Surya is a Devata and shines the whole earth. Right? However, their light quantity and expansion varies. In these Devatas, light, how much light there is, the intensity and the quality and quantity, it's all changing. Higher Devata, more light. Lower Devata, less light. Different kind of lights. Ishwar's light is always all over, it never changes. It's same. It's the most powerful light that there is. It shines on the outside and all through everything, pervades everything. So when you say all pervading Parameshwar, his light, his action, everything pervades everywhere. through everything. That is why the word omni is used with Ishwar, like omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, etc. Thus, Ishwar's birth, manifestation, and karma are divya. Okay? So, divya is a very important term. And when the jnani knows, when a person knows what that divya is in Paramatma, that is jnana. Because how you know something is there? Unless you shine light on it, you can't see it. Correct? So, to be able to see, there has to be light shine on some object. And that Gyan is a light which shines on everything which exists in samsara. You can't see the light, it's not visible light. We are used to seeing visible light, but Gyan is also a light. And where that light is? In Parameshwar, Ishwar. And that light shines through everything, everywhere, all the time, with the same intensity, same power, everything. It never changes. That's why I say, Paramatma knows everything. That's how he knows. Thus, Ishwar's birth, manifestation, and karma are divya or divine. Humans are not divine. They can be called Mahatmas, but they cannot be called divine. All their powers are from one who is divine. It's not their power. They don't have their own shine. Nothing shines out of them. It's their own. It's the power given to them with some Devata or Paramatma which is making them shine. So, now you understand now? That's a very important thing to know. So you cannot say that any human being is divine. We cannot call them Bhagwan. Okay? They say Bhagwan Buddha. No, he was a human being. He is Mahatma, but he cannot be divine. He is Mahatma because his Atma is much higher level than ordinary person's Atma. His thought process is different. All their powers are from one who is divine. So divine is the one which gives the power. Okay? On their own, human have no shine and thus no knowledge. That is Gyan. They don't have. That's why we go to school even to learn to earn a living. We don't have any knowledge of our own. If we had, we don't have to go to school to learn a trade. Right? So we have no knowledge, no nothing, actually, it's all given to us. Therefore, any human, no matter how spiritually powerful he may appear, is not worthy of worship. In this day and age, this is being done since it is Kali Yuga. That's why it is being done. In Kali Yuga, the dharma is going away, adharma is on the rise, so things which are not true, people are following them. After all, where the dharma is slowly but surely disappearing. In this yuga, dharma is slowly but surely disappearing, is going away. When people start looking for miracles, it shows desperation. Alright? Hindus worship devatas, which is acceptable. Because devata have their own light, their own divineness. They are divine. Ishwar and devata are only two divine entities. So Hindus always worship devatas. Other people don't understand what devata worship is. So they look down upon Hindus. So devata, Ishwar, anything worship which is beyond, which falls outside of Ishwar or devata is adharma. In Shlok 4, Arjun, not knowing the difference between the two, Ishwar or human beings, was comparing himself with Bhagwan based on the body, on the existence. You are born just when we are born together. So, how can you say you know everything and I don't? The birth of Bhagwan Sri Krishna was unique. He took birth through mother's womb after only 6 months. He didn't want, Ishwar never stays in the womb very long at all. Human birth is bodily birth. The body is made up of earth, primarily earth, dirt. Veda says Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. That's what it says in Vedas. In this, Bhur means earth. Bhuvi means Antahkaran. And Swa means heavenly or divine. So the one born through the Buddhi is divine. Parmeshwar uses nothing from the outside to manifest himself. The body which houses Paramatma is his own Maya. He doesn't use anything else. And he has no interest in that body either. Maya has no relationship with Paramatma. He's separate, totally separate. Yet he uses that Maya to manifest himself in samsara. Parmeshwar takes up the body in 3 ways. First one is through the womb, Garbh. Second one, there is some person is there in the womb, some Atma. He will send that Atma out of there to a higher Devata Phal, and he will come into there if he wishes to do that. And the third way, Parmeshwar shows manifests himself or comes in existence in samsara is if someone just recently passed away, he can pick up his body if he so chooses. And at that time, his powers, Maya, will purify that body before he comes into there. So at no time he is in any Parthiv Sharir. He is in Maya Sharir all the time, which is his own power. In every case, Maya becomes the body in which he manifests himself. Parmeshwar is his own instigator. He propels himself. Nobody forces him to do anything. Because nobody even knows who he is. See? No other power is involved in his manifestation. Thus, unlike Jeev, he is free from any bondage, all the bondage. This is what is divine about Parmeshwar, Tattva. So divinity means person who is divine person is not bound by any rules. He is the rule, he is the law. See? He's got his own powers. Also, if Parmeshwar Sarup has no beginning and no end, then how it is that Sarup comes into that small body? The question rises, if Parmeshwar is Anant, means he is everywhere. There is no beginning or no end. So how can you say that Parmeshwar comes into that human body? All right? It's a good question. This too is a divine. His coming into that body is divine nature. We must understand as how Parmeshwar Sarup manifests in that body, the avatar. It happens, the example which will explain very clearly is, as a bubble is formed on a body of water. If we consider all pervasive Parmeshwar Sarup as water which is flowing everywhere, so we consider Parmeshwar as water which is everywhere. There is no place where there is no water. That's Parmeshwar. And at certain point, a bubble will rise in that water. Like you go to rivers and streams, their bubbles rise all the time, don't they? So a bubble rising on that body of water, of the surface of the water, the bubble being separate in its own is also attached or continuum of that same body of water. Isn't that true? A bubble, the bubble part is risen above that body of water, but it is still continuous with the body of water. It's that part of body of water. So the bubble being an entity in itself remains a part of body of water. It is part of the entire body of water at the same time separate from it. So the avatar is there, but within the avatar body, the Sarup, Parmeshwar is still there all the time, same as anywhere else. Similarly, the Ishwar avatar rises from the Sarup while still being part of it, like that bubble on the body of the water. So there is no division of Ishwar. So now people who believe in everything is Brahm and we are all part of the Brahm, it doesn't work. Because you cannot divide Paramatma. Who has got the power to divide Paramatma? He surely doesn't need to divide himself. He is everywhere all the time, in one continuum. Jeev is everywhere in one piece which cannot, Ishwar is everywhere in one piece which cannot be divided, cut, or you cannot do anything to it. Achedya, abhedya. It has no beginning and it has no end. So Ishwar is called Anant. Ishwar manifests anywhere and remains everywhere. He can manifest wherever he wants to, but he is everywhere at the same time. And beyond. Since Ishwar is timeless, this is also a divine action of Parmeshwar. He is not bound by time. His actions do not bring about any change in him. Our actions do. If we do adharma, we will change into that. Our psyche will be that way. We will be that way. If we do good things, we become good. Correct? Ishwar doesn't change. Thus, his actions are divine. The one who understands the manifestation and karma of Parmeshwar, Ishwar avatar, he is Jnani. He does not remain the same as he was before, and then he attains moksha. As mentioned earlier, the divine karma of Parmeshwar is fivefold. All are relating to dharma. One way or the other, they are all relating to dharma. Again, the dharma here is the set of rules to bring about the uplifting of the jeev. Now Bhagavan said that one who understands my divine birth and my divine karma upon leaving this body is not reborn. Instead, he comes to me. So now he is in the state of Jnana. Why he comes to Paramatma? Because he is in the state of Jnana. But this brings up a question as to how Jeev gets into Paramatma. How does he become such that he is part of Paramatma now? What is the way it happens? How does it happen? It is not a simple thing. Bhagavan Krishna explains here how this happens. In Gita, Bhagavan has said over and over that Jeev goes into Parmeshwar. He comes to me. He becomes part of me. Bhagavan says this in the next shlok. He's telling us How that happens?
वीतरागभयक्रोधा मन्मया मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञानतपसा पूता मद्भावमागताः
Vit rag bhaya krodha man maya mamupashrita. Even earlier, many have attained that state of jnana, and became one with Paramatma. Who are these people? These Atmas. Who are these Atmas? Those are the ones who have been freed from three things. What are these three things? Rag, Bhay, Krodh. Rag means attachment, Bhay means fear, and Krodh means anger. They have put their mind in me. Many such have taken refuge in me. They, having been purified by the fire of Gyan, have attained my being. That's what Bhagavan says in this shlok. This means that the Jeev in human become like Ishwar and merges into Ishwar Sarup. Just a while ago we saw the Ishwar Sarup everywhere like a body of water which is everywhere. And it rises like a bubble as avatar. And there is Jeev also everywhere within Ishwar. And that Ishwar, through that bubble, that avatar gives the Jeev Gyan. Transform that Jeev and he becomes part of the same body of water. You see? But in that process, what happens to that Jeev? Vit rag bhaya krodha. He is beyond, he doesn't have any attachment. Because if you attach, you can't leave. Rag is gone. What else is gone? Bhaya. He's not afraid. He's ready to go wherever he's going to go. He's not afraid what will happen. He is looking through the windshield, not in the rear view mirror. And Krodha, he has got no anger. Why should be he angry? So, you see, among things that keep us away from Ishwar is our karma. What karma? Sansar karma. Whatever we do, our actions in sansar, that is what keeps us away from Paramatma. We are not divine, so we cannot do divine actions like Paramatma does. So our actions are way, way less than, they are not very good. And they keep us bound. So rag is not going. We get more and more attached to things through our karma. Our likes and dislikes, this all leads to karma. The bondage of our karma keeps us from being free to seek Ishwar. Okay? Everybody agrees?
Yeah.
Because our karma are for attaining something in this sansar. Ishwar has nothing to do with sansar. He comes in sansar, he manifests as in his avatar to take us out of the sansar. So how can we stay, how can we be free if we want to be part of the sansar? Right? It's very difficult. It just doesn't make sense. Bhagavan says that my karma are divine, meaning he imparts jnana to us, and through the power of this jnana, we see all of our karma. We know now what we have done. You can actually see your karma once you get jnana. And gradually destroy them. So there is no karma left. How you do that? He says, Jnana is like a fire. If you take fire in a jungle, it can burn the whole jungle down, can't it? So Jnana is like fire. That's why Bhagavan said, Jnana dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. What Gyan does? Dagdha karmanam. It burns off all the karma. And what is this Gyan? Janma karma chame divyam. This is the Gyan. Knowing his avatar, how it happens, knowing what he does when he comes in this world, how he does it. And who can tell us? No one other than Paramatma himself. Nobody else knows. Once somebody knows, he's gone. He's gone with Paramatma. So how can we know? We have to know only through the word of God, word of Ishwar. Therefore, it is imperative that we know the Ishwar Gyan. Ishwar Gyan is the most important thing that we need to know. That's why we are given human body to learn Ishwar Gyan. And we don't want to do that because we'll end up liking what's in samsara. Vedas also mention about Gyan of knowing the divine karma of Ishwar. This is in 3 Mahavakya in Hindu Dharma. First one is Tat Sat. That means that Parameshwar is. It is. Second one is Tattvamasi. Now he says, it's none other than you. You are Brahma. And the third one is Soham. You are, after you follow Guru's advice and do all what's supposed to do, learn all the Gyan and Veda, you become one of them. You become Brahma. You are Brahma now. However, here Bhagavan has not given any importance to these Vedic Mahavakya. Because in Gita, he says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Hey Arjuna, you rise above these three gunas. Why? These Vedic Gyan is Trigunatmak. It will not give you moksha. So this Tat Sat Tattvamasi and Soham Bhagavan Krishna doesn't recognize it. He is saying instead that knowing the Gyan about the motive and the method of his manifestation and his karma, all three being divine, makes one a Jnani. This is what Bhagavan has said in Shlok 9. However, what the Gyan does to the Jnani person, what does it do to Jnani person? Bhagavan said this, but what does it do to Jnani person? He goes through 4 stages. The Jnani, or person who attains Gyan, goes through 4 stages. We will go into each one of these next. Veet, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. Veet means has gone away or is left behind. Veet means it's gone, it's past. It's in the rear view mirror, it's gone. You can't change it, it's finished. What is gone? Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. What is left behind? These are attachment, fear, and anger. Man Maya. Those whose mind is situated in me and me alone. Man Maya. Man Maya. Mam Pashrita. They have taken refuge in me and me alone. So after Gyan, what's happening to the Atma? His Rag, Dvesh, Kam, Krodh, everything is gone. He becomes Man Maya. He is always in tune with Paramatma, with Ishwar. Mamupashrita. He doesn't need anybody else or help. He got the best help that there is. He takes the ashray, or he takes refuge in Ishwar himself. Bahavo, many such bhakt, Jnana tapasa, through the tap of Gyan. See, we said before, Gyan, what is Gyan? It's a fire. Tap means to burn, to heat something up really high temperature. Like gold, if you heat, you take the impurities out of it. Same way, Gyan Tap takes all the evil out of us, burns off all our karma. Because karma is impurity in us, and that has to be taken out. Then Atma becomes pure and becomes in a state where it can be one with Ishwar. Puta have purified. Puta means purified. Mad Bhav Magata. They have merged in my Sarup. So we'll take these 4 stages. First one is Man Maya. Those whose mind is merged in me. So the first stage is to ceaselessly think of my divine manifestation and my divine karma. Ceaselessly, always. For example, how Bhagavan elevated Yashoda, Devaki, and others to higher states. So his thoughts are always, whose thoughts? Jnani's thoughts are always about the various leelas of Bhagavan. Bhagavan karma is leela. So all his leelas, what he did, how he did it, and to whom he did it. And the divine in them, those actions, what is divine in them? He knows that. This is the first rule of the stage for Jnani to get moksha. Second stage is Mamupashita. Those who take shelter in me and resort to me for all their needs. You see, Ishwar has everything. Whatever we want, like a Hindu dharma, for example. They go to worship Devata. Want some problem, go worship this Devata or that Devata, whatever. But they don't know that on top of all those Devata, all the power is coming from Ishwar. That's the source. Only source there is. So Bhagavan says the one who becomes Jnani, he knows that. So what he does, he comes to him directly for all his needs. He doesn't go to any other deities or any Devata or any human being for anything. He goes directly to Ishwar. People tend to make relationships hoping that those will be helpful. However, most relationships do not work out as expected. And that is a fact. So Bhagavan says that he looks for and takes help in me and me alone because he knows that is the truth and his relationship with Ishwar will never go sour. It will always be the same and that's the top relationship that you can have. So first he puts his mind in me, the Ishwar, then realizes that Ishwar can be of real help when he needs it. And nobody else can help. Then the third stage is Veet Rag Bhaya Krodha. When he does this, he has moved beyond attachment now. Because he doesn't need help. Why he need to be attached to samsara? He doesn't need anything from anybody. He has no rag. And he has no bhaya because he knows he can get whatever he needs from Ishwar. There is no uncertainty there. What is fear? Fear of the unknown. But he is Jnani now. He knows. There is no fear. And there is no reason to be angry either. Because he has everything he needs. He can get any time he wants. He needs to get whatever he needs to get. So these three are gone. How? When a person manmaya mamupashrita. Then what happens? Veet rag bhaya krodha. Then last stage is Gyan Tapasa Puta. Purified by the fire of Gyan. How do we do this? See, all those three stages were because that person had jnana. So he has now left his crow, there is nothing there. So there is no new karma is going to be created. Right? So whatever is left, the old karma bank, he can wipe him out now. Because jnana tapasa puta. He used that power of jnana, the fire of that jnana, to burn off all his karma, past karmas. And become puta means pavitra, pure. Later in Slok 19, Bhagavan says, Jnanana dagda karmanam. Actions are burned by the fire of jnana. So by thinking and discussing repeatedly my divine birth and karma, this will have positive influence on that person. Now if one looks faults in others, which is most people do, each having a fault, one fault. A person has 10 different friends, and each one has one fault. And this person looks fault in every one of those 10 people. What happens to him? He ends up getting all 10 faults. Other people only had one. Now he has got all 10 faults. So that's what happens when we start looking at fault in other people. Similarly, if we talk jnana with others, somebody has some jnana, other person has a little more jnana, and we talk to them about jnana itself, we get a lot of jnana then. Right? But we choose not to do that. So, if we are serious about our welfare and achieving moksha, we should discuss jnana instead of anything else. So such person who are purified by the fire of jnana, what happens to them? Madbhav magata. They have and they do merge into my Sarup, Bhagavan Krishna says. So the four conditions are manmaya, mamupashrita, vitarag bhaya krodha, jnana tapsaha puta. They are come in the same order. So first we have to put our mind to Ishvara. Then take ashraya, take refuge in Him. Anything we need goes directly to Him. Don't need a middleman to do that. And when you keep doing that, slowly you'll have no rag, krodh, bhaya, all gone. Then your jnana has become higher jnana, become really mature jnana now. So what happens? Then you use that power of that jnana to burn off all of your past karmas. And when that happens, then you become one with Paramatma. So it's big things what Bhagavan Krishna said in here, in just 2 shlokas. However, what happens is, only a few take up these means of my bhakti. Bhagavan says, he realizes that only few people, you can count on finger if you want to, will take up this path. Most humans look to obtain worldly things and pleasures. That's what most people do. Their goal is to get worldly, accumulate worldly things and get worldly pleasures. Knowing this, Bhagavan changes the topic from the next shloka slightly towards Devata, Bhakti. We will take up this next time. Jai Shri Krishna.